back on the Horse Talk show on one of my favorite topics, HeartWorks. I'm absolutely delighted to have Tricia Sybersma back with us. We have done a mini series on what HeartWorks is all about, and in that we have talked a lot about relationships with horses, trust with horses, connection with horses, how we can get into that great space with our horses that we really need to be in before we even think about tacking up, riding. We've talked about the amazing products that horses create that carry such great energy with them as our horses do themselves. We've talked about their huge hearts, what that magnetic field coming from that, how that affects us. We have talked about so many things, but one of my very favorite topics in the horse world is horses were our ancient allies, and now they are our present day partners. So in this episode, Tricia and I are going to talk about that. Tricia, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back. I really enjoy all the work that you do and in this show and how far-reaching it is, helping people with horses.
Absolutely. It's lovely. And these are great topics. And you have certainly made me think with relationships to horses. So I think it's great. I know it must have made a lot of our listeners think as well about that important connection. What does it mean to call horses ancient allies? And I often say this, I say this to a lot of people. It used to be that everybody had horses and hardly anybody had a car back in the day. Now everybody has cars and not as many people have horses because horses were everything. They were used for war. They were used for transportation, basic transportation. They were used for farming and plowing. They had so many roles back in the day.
Well, they really did. They worked side by side with us as we evolved, as we explored, as we battled, and as we lived our lives, right? Plowing the fields, the transportation for the doctors, just they were so ingrained in our everyday life. And now, you know, their role has shifted from such a physical role to more of a spiritual, energetic, and teacher role for those who are open to explore that. And as you were introducing this, I must say that the traditional horse training that many of us learned as we were younger, the basics, did address the introductory levels of just the mechanics of humans and horses. But when you really think of those roles over history and all the times people spent with their horses while they were in the fields, while they were on the battlefield, while they were traveling vast distances, what was happening in between those moments and what was happening with the horse supporting those people, especially on the battlefield. And I think about the spiritual and energetic support this ancient ally was giving to the soldiers. Mm-hmm. It was happening. I think there was far more emotional, spiritual, and energy work that the horse was involved with and doing and facilitating.
And the partnership has changed so much over decades, generations. It's so different than it ever was back in history, and I think that is interesting the way that has evolved so much. And how you said, you made a very good point. They were like our all-day partner back then. We spent a lot more time because they were part of our everyday. And then obviously, I mean, I just think about the First World War, just how much horses were involved in that, and that was everyday battle and war planning, and the horses were right there alongside. So it truly is a new partnership. It truly is different than it ever was, more and more. And I think as our awareness grows of how much horses need to trust us, need to feel safe, and need to feel that connection in order to have that great relationship. Let's talk a little bit about why you think this is happening now and how horses bring us back to real, because they really do.
Horses show up where we need them most. We needed their brute strength. We needed their power. then in the early days, and then moving into even military work, we needed their keen senses because they would alert their partner army community if there was danger. And even in traveling and pioneering, they would be the first ones to go, hey, there's something over here, there's something over there, to keep the humans safe. And now they're stepping forward again in a new way because the world is fast and the world is busy. We're overwhelmed, we're disconnected, we're out of rhythm with who we are, our inner knowing. And what better way to be brought back to the present moment, grounded to ourselves, than standing in front of a horse who is inviting us into that place. And it draws all the topics that we've discussed about, it kind of comes full circle, right?
It does indeed.
Horses live in coherence and invite us to live in coherence. Horses live in the present moment and invite us to live in the present moment. Horses want to plug us into our senses, to see it, to feel it, and then make decisions based on that information that we're collecting from a place, a heart-centered place of mindfulness, of awareness. They really show up in before, when people were spending 24 hours a day with our horses, day in and day out. They did have our presence. Now we might have 2 hours at the barn. They're asking us to step up and be aware of our coherence, be aware of our mindfulness. When we leave our horses, we're leaving and going back into the busy world of things. We're entering back in from a different energetic place, because now we're grounded. Now we're centered. Right. Now we're moving from the heart. Now we have coherence. And so that time with them done mindfully then ripples out into the environment we're moving into and the people that we're going to be interacting with next.
If you have a place that you go, whether it be church or whether it just be a quiet place that you meditate, whether you read something, whether you just spend some quiet time, I think that is a great way to, especially if you're somebody that visits your horse like I do and he's not at your house, where you're not spending day in, day out with him, is get yourself in a great place before you go visit. Even if it's 5 minutes in the morning before you go out to the barn, it's worth it, because if you can get yourself in a good mental state and a great a place of peace before you approach your horse, you're going to have a different horse. And I have seen that myself 100%. Tricia, how does this all kind of wrap up? You talked a little bit about how it ties together all these episodes that we have covered, but it all kind of relates to what we started episode 4 with, which is see it, feel it, live it. Tie all of that together for us in these last few minutes.
We see it when we recognize the timeless wisdom in their eyes and honor their role beyond riding or work. We feel it when we enter their field and let our hearts open to the bond that transcends words. We live it when we walk beside them, not to lead or follow, but to co-create a future where energy, presence, and compassion guide how we relate to all life. HeartWorks is launching its first book. It is called Walking with the Herd, a heart-centered guide to see, feel, and live your life. And it is full of messages from the horses themselves on how to bring all this wisdom not only to the barn and into the field and into what we do with horses, but to bring it into our life. After all, the very first quote I read to everybody was that to look in the mirror, because we are humans. And horses have come to be a catalyst. And what they really wish for us is that we start to look at each other with the same wonder and awe as we look at them. So imagining being this present with those people in our lives. This is what the world needs right now. And so they have stepped forward to cause some curiosity and to open some hearts so that we can be there for them and we can be there for each other.
Tricia, that is wonderful. We are going to wrap this up. I want to invite everybody to check out HeartWorks at heartworks.horse. You can also find them on social media and follow them. I'm going to invite you to learn more, to learn to connect to your horse, to kind of shut out the crazy world and find a peaceful place. I certainly have learnt a lot from this wonderful series. Tricia, we love you and your herd. I love the book you sent to me. Thank you so much. I've so enjoyed this. I so appreciate you.
I mean, it's my honor. The horses thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Yes. Thank you so much. We got to wrap this up here on the Horse Talk Show.